what do dreams of rabbits mean? If you've ever had a dream of rabbits, hares, or any other rabbit-like animal, it's very easy to just forget about the dream. After all, they may be cute, furry, and awesome, but you're probably thinking your nighttime vision about these animals probably don't mean much of anything. They're a cute image that you come across as you dream at night. Well, it turns out that these animals actually can say quite a bit about your waking life. You would really be at a loss if you were to ignore the deep meaning of rabbit symbolism in your dreams. Now, please understand that the following dream interpretation and all its different contexts apply only if you had a dream about hares, rabbits, and bunnies, and they are the central focus of your night vision. So if you find yourself in a dream and you're in a great field and you're doing something with somebody else and you're just experiencing all these things, and by sheer accident you come across a rabbit, and then your mental camera, if you will, panned or turned to another object, then your dream is probably not about rabbits. But if these animals were the central focus of your dream, this dream interpretation is for you. What does the Easter bunny symbolize? The Easter bunny, also known as the Easter hare or Eastern rabbit, is a popular symbol of a Christian holiday that commemorates Christ's resurrection. Of course, this holiday also has Germanic and pagan roots. In fact, if you were going to trace this tradition all the way through history, you would notice that there were ancient Sumerians and other people groups in many other parts of the world had similar celebrations. What they're really celebrating is the spring planting season. The idea that in winter, something has to die and something has to be planted in the ground for a harvest that is going to take place later on in the year. And this got spiritualized over thousands of years. And one of the most common manifestation of this is Easter. Of course, when Christianity was spreading through state efforts, there were lots of attempts made to pair Christian symbolism and Christian ideas with pre-existing pagan or native belief systems. This is called syncretic religion. It doesn't do much favors to actual original Christian ideas, but the philosophy behind it is the ends justifies the means. Keep this in mind when you see an Easter bunny in your dream. This dream symbol actually speaks to both Christian and non-Christian ideas and patterns in your life. On the one hand, it can be a symbol of hope, that regardless of how much devastation, deprivation, or danger you go through, there is always hope. On the other hand, for you to claim a harvest, you have to be willing to die. You have to be willing to let go of your old ideas. The old self has to give way to the new self. This requires courage. It also requires decision. It's not something you take on lightly. And it's really important to keep these themes in mind if you are trying to get to the bottom of the Easter bunny. That is the central focus of your dream. What does it mean to dream of eating a rabbit? In certain parts of the world, rabbit is a crucial part of the cuisine. It's easy to see why. They are easy to keep, they don't eat all that much, and they have a wide enough diet that they can be reasonably sustained. They also can be grown quite easily because of their small size. They also reproduce quickly. These are the qualities that inform the symbolism of seeing yourself eating a rabbit in your dream. When you see yourself consuming rabbit flesh, this indicates that you are finding fulfillment in how your life has turned out based on resources you currently have access to. That's just a fancy way of saying that you are content with making do with what you have. This doesn't mean that you're no longer thinking big or you've let go of your hopes and dreams. Instead, this dream imagery speaks to your practicality. This is actually a very important message because a lot of people think that for them to achieve their goals or for them to live the kind of life that they would desire, things have to operate on a grand scale. It's as if they have become this Hollywood star and their life is this movie that is playing out in real time. Well, if you have been seeing yourself eating a rabbit in your dream, there's a part of you that is beginning to mature. There's a part of you that is beginning to realize that you don't have to be this grandiose figure, that there is nobility in working a regular job and doing the best you can with what you have. Rabbit, after all, is earthy food. It is practical. It is, a lot of people even say that it's a peasant food. But you don't care. You make do with what you have, and you understand that even the biggest and grandest palaces all begin with a simple stone foundation. And here you are, living your life in simple terms, laying one foundation after another. There's a sense of sufficiency and practicality that emanates from this dream theme. What does it mean to dream of a hopping rabbit? If you see a small rabbit hopping in your dream, this can indicate fertility, but not in the way most people conceive of that concept. Fertility in this context indicates ideas getting in touch with other ideas and becoming enriched by them. A lot of people are under the impression that if you have come across this hot idea for a business or a startup, that you have to keep it to yourself because people are mean, people are ruthless, and guess what? They will steal your idea and they will become rich instead of you. If you notice yourself in your dreams seeing a hopping rabbit and you see its tranquility and you don't think much of it, this dream symbolizes that you're beginning to understand that for you to gain, somebody else doesn't have to necessarily lose. The world doesn't have to be reduced to a win-loss type of situation. There can be such a thing as win-win, where they bring in an idea, you bring in an idea, and because of the interplay of those ideas and the efforts you put into the project, everybody walks away a winner. This is the fertility that your subconscious is trying to draw your attention to. This is a viable option. Now, why would your mind, subconscious mind, to be more specific, send you this kind of message? Well, it may be that you are surrounded by people or you live in a culture that subscribes to that win-loss or zero-sum game mindset. Again, for somebody to win, somebody else has to lose. This doesn't have to be the case. And if you pursue these ideas to their logical conclusion, not only do you help other people, but you gain on a personal level. Remember, wealth is created, generally speaking, when people earn value that others exchange for the value they bring to the table. It's not a question of money simply changing hands and one person getting richer at the expense of another person. There is such a thing as win-win. Let this be your personal definition of fertility. What does it mean to dream of a baby rabbit? If you've dreamed that you have come across a baby rabbit, this may indicate that you are starting a new venture based on new ideas. The challenge here is not to be overtly excited. Instead, dream with your eyes open. I'm not saying that you should not focus or you should decide to commit to this project, but give yourself the luxury of a truly open mind. Allow yourself to believe that the idea that you have in your head, as compelling and exciting as it may seem right now, is not fully formed. There's an old saying, the wisest man in the world knows that he doesn't know everything. If you give yourself that level of humility, your project has a higher chance of succeeding. On the other hand, if you see yourself as this blind zealot who has this fixed vision of the future and you're just pushing for it and refusing to take any input or even consider the reality of whatever it is you are contending with, your chances of failure are actually going to be quite high. In fact, you're probably going to meet with resistance more often than encouragement. Allow yourself to be open-minded. Don't become emotionally wedded to your idea, goal, or whatnot. Instead, think like a student. Understand that there is no perfect answer and you're open to different interpretations, different sources of information and inspiration. What does it mean to dream of a rabbit bitten by another animal? In a natural world, if you see a small rabbit bitten by a coyote or a wolf, chances are it's game over for that animal. If your subconscious is sending you this type of dream imagery, you need to sit up and pay attention because you feel that your ideas, your drive for something new, your hopes and ambitions of a personal restart or even personal growth are under threat. You need to pay attention because you cannot afford to overreact. Pay close attention to where you feel that threat is coming from. Now, if you're completely honest with yourself, 9 times out of 10, the threat doesn't come from outside. It doesn't take the form of other people. It definitely won't take the form of your parents or your friends and family. Generally speaking, if we are completely honest with ourselves, the threat comes from within. You have to understand that the moment you start to think that you need to change certain areas in certain areas of your life, somebody is going to step up and get in the way. Somebody is going to step in your way. And you know who that person is? That's right, that person is you. Because let's face it, we're all creatures of habit. And habit breeds comfort. No matter how uncomfortable we are in reality, we start to think that we'd rather stick with the discomfort that we've grown accustomed to or we're used to, rather than to take risks of change, which can actually lead to better results. So when you see a rabbit bitten by another animal, your subconscious is trying to direct your attention to that threatened impression or feeling that you have. You have to come to grips with that threat, because in many cases you're blowing things out of proportion, or you're simply just scared. And it's perfectly okay to be scared, especially if you're trying to do something new or trying to go into a new direction. But understand why you're scared, and understand that you have the power to overcome whatever insecurities or lack of confidence you feel. What does it mean to dream of a rabbit falling down a hole? The phrase rabbit hole is quite common in the English language. But when you fall down a rabbit hole, it indicates vulnerability. Usually when people use that phrase, they talk about being taken into a different direction, and it could be an adventure. They could be learning new things, or it can involve a lot of hassles, possibly even challenges, setbacks, and resistance. Regardless, going down a rabbit hole means going down into new territory. It's going into a place that you normally don't go. Keep this in mind, because when your subconscious shows you the image of a rabbit falling down a hole, and it is the main focus of your nighttime vision, your mind may be trying to bring into your waking life a consciousness regarding your need to be more aware of the directions you're taking and possibly your goals while you go through that direction. Maybe the way you've been doing things hasn't really benefited you all that much, because instead of a sense of curiosity, adventure, newness, you feel that these rabbit holes that you go through are just hassles. They're obligatory in nature. They're things that you'd rather not do. So instead of them benefiting you or actually leading you to somewhere new, you end up rushing back to your old mindset. What does it mean to dream of a brown rabbit? The brown color of the rabbit reflects earth themes. We're talking about fertility, rebirth, and yes, good luck. But it takes place in a certain context. Not only are you dreaming about themes that generally resonate when it comes to rabbit symbolism, that are generally associated with rabbit symbolism, the brown color of this creature in your dream also indicates stability, reliability, and more importantly, a sense of belonging. When you dream of a brown rabbit, you're basically dreaming of your need to have a home. And here's what makes it challenging. That place where you can fully belong and where you are completely accepted with no questions asked doesn't come with an address. It is not a geographic space. Instead, it is a mental and emotional space that you have to carve out for yourself. It is something that you have to realize. So when you keep having brown rabbit dreams, this is your subconscious telling you that you feel unease. You have entered a stage in your life where you don't really feel where you don't really feel that you belong. You don't really feel that you have a solid grasp of how things really are. Things are unstable, to say the very least. And this is precisely when you need to reestablish your personal center. Who are you? Who do you want to be? What values do you have? These are decisions that you need to make, and they set the stage for other smaller decisions that lead to eventually a new core or a new sense of identity, and that is your new home. What does it mean to dream of a black rabbit? The color black symbolizes mystery, secrecy, and the great chaos of the unformed. These are not necessarily bad things, but a lot of people who are often insecure or badly misinformed automatically assume that just because the color black is part of the equation, that they're in for something bad, evil even. Not necessarily. You just have to understand how these themes play out or are intertwined into larger themes involving your rabbit dream. If the main focus of your dream is a black rabbit and it's just sitting there, or it's eating something, what your subconscious is trying to communicate to you is that you have to be more honest with yourself. People have this natural tendency to lie to themselves because, let's face it, a lot of us find ourselves wearing different masks, masks upon masks. We have roles that become intertwined, and at the end of the day, we forget who we really are. We forget our real face, and that's why this whole thing seems so mysterious, complicated, and unnecessarily nuanced. But it doesn't have to be, because black also indicates simplicity. There's a certain honesty with the color black in philosophical terms. After all, black is the absence of light. There's a lot of security in the darkness. You don't have to pretend to be somebody else. There's nowhere to go and nobody to become. Believe it or not, the darkness can bring peace. It is not warm, not by any stretch of the imagination. But assuming that you have the right mindset and the spiritual advancement required for proper discernment, there's a lot to celebrate in the dark. And within the dark, another rabbit theme of fertility can come to fruition. Great ideas, impulses that lead to fascinating insights that can pave the way to breakthroughs. If you're struggling in any area of your life, maybe the black rabbit dream symbol can open the door to new solutions, new pathways, or at the very least, reframe a lot of the realities that you've been struggling with up to this time. What does it mean to dream of a rabbit attacking another animal? Generally speaking, rabbits do not attack other animals. A lot of this has to do with the fact that they're vegetarian. But when provoked or when sick, rabbits can and do attack other animals. Usually they attack fellow rabbits. If you're seeing this rabbit violence in your nighttime visions, this is a red flag. Your subconscious is telling you that you are feeling so vulnerable in a certain area of your life, and you're feeling a tremendous amount of fear that you are in danger of lashing out. As the old saying goes, the best defense is a good offense. The problem is, who are you going to direct it to? As we all know, it is an unfortunate part of life that we often hurt the ones that we often hurt the most. The ones who are closest to us are the ones we hurt the most. Sure, you're feeling walled in. It's perfectly understandable that you're feeling all this stress. But you're not doing yourself and your loved ones any favors when you blow up at them. Maybe you yell at them. Maybe you try to compartmentalize them or put them in neat little boxes in your mind to somehow control them. Or worse yet, you try to change them. You don't necessarily have to be violent for you to harm people at one level or other. Believe it or not, having a low expectation of somebody you say you love can actually harm that person. You're not doing them any favors, and that's just one example. So when you see imagery of rabbits attacking others, maybe other animals or other rabbits, pay close attention to how you view people in your life. One common example of this in practical terms is when parents have this stunted view of their children. Imagine your children are already 30 to 40 or even 50 years old, but you still treat them and think of them like they were 8 or 9. What's wrong with that picture? What does it mean to dream of a white rabbit? The color white is the presence of all light. It's bright. It indicates purity. But in the context of rabbit dreams, the color white points to the level of innocence you need to have to actually have a new beginning. It's very hard to build something new when you allow your past to have such a hold on you that it drains your emotional batteries. It's as if you are a slave to your past. Please understand that your failures do not have to define you. Your fears do not have to distort the path in front of you. It takes courage to learn from the past and refuse to have its emotional turbulence warp your current reality. Because you have to live in the present. And when you dream of white rabbits doing all sorts of things, but the main focus of your dream is its color, white color, your subconscious is telling you to focus on the right mindset. So whatever new thing that you are planning or focusing on or thinking of doing will not only come to pass, but can actually help you. You have to understand that people plan all the time, and 9 times out of 10, when their plans come true, it didn't really matter. It's as if they weren't really benefited to the point that it moved the needle of their life. The white rabbit is a powerful dream symbol. It packs a lot of meaning. It can give you that jolt or purpose you need to truly live a meaningful life. But you have to turn the key. You have to practice self-awareness. You have to decide to let go of the past and trust your intuition to trust again. To take people at their word. To let the power of your dreams move you forward. This is very hard to do, believe it or not, because we live in a cynical world. What does it mean to dream of a gray rabbit? There are key decisions in your life that need to be made. You know this. But if you're like most people, you're probably just kicking the can down the road. You're thinking that as long as I have choices, eventually everything will settle and I will make the right choice. This is too much of an assumption because the more you stay indecisive and the more you refuse to make a decision, the harder it is to make the right call later on. Because at some point, you feel that you have to make a choice, but you are so obsessed with what you stand to lose that you end up making a mediocre choice. I'm saying that you did not make the wrong choice. At least you got that right. But you didn't make the ideal choice either. You're settling for pennies on the dollar. And the worst part to all of this is you know it, and this produces this inner conflict. You're feeling, why am I such a screw-up? I keep making mediocre choices and my life is mediocre. Well, the answer really is courage. Because if you're completely honest with yourself, you know that there is an answer. You know that it's either black or white or at least closer to those extremes. It is not gray. And when we have these gray rabbit dreams and the gray color of the animal is the central focus of our dream, our subconscious is telling us about the futility of quote unquote staying in the safe zone as far as our choices go. You have to make a choice. And it's going to upset some people. It might even upset you. But as long as you made that choice for the right reason and you have a lot to back it up, eventually that will be the right choice. Let me put it this way, your chances of actually walking away with the optimal results is much higher when you refuse to split the difference and compromise. What does it mean to dream of cuddling a baby rabbit? Baby rabbits are a lot of fun. They're warm, they're cuddly, and they definitely are cute. This symbol can indicate that regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, you have to get in touch with your nurturing side. Just as there is a part of you that needs to be hugged, protected, and kept warm, there's also a part of you that want to give those things and provide those experiences to somebody else. Do not deny this. Do not blunt it. Because if you do, you are denying a key part of your total persona as a human being. A part of you wants to share with the rest of the world. Maybe you should volunteer. Maybe you should give money to charity. Maybe you should visit people in the hospital, or on a more personal level, help people around you. Because if you completely open your eyes and allow yourself to see other people's vulnerabilities, you don't really have to go far when it comes to reaching out and helping other people. There are very needy, vulnerable people in your family. Why not start there? Now, of course, when providing help to others, you should not put yourself in a situation where you will get hurt. Think about it. If you want to help people and you want to share your emotional resources or simply share your time, you're not doing people any favors when you put yourself in a situation where they can harm your ability to help others. Do you see how this works? So practice self-preservation as well. Use your common sense and use your head. Still, you need to address your need to help others and share parts of yourself. What does it mean to dream of multiple rabbits? One of the strangest episodes of the classic Star Trek series was when the starship that they were on, that the crew was on, was overrun by these furry alien creatures. You may have had a dream involving rabbits that had the same sense of being overwhelmed. And this is precisely the theme of dreaming of multiple rabbits. Maybe you're conflicted in your relationships and you're getting all these insights and you're getting these impressions that seem to come at you from many different directions. This dream suggests confusion because of choice. Ultimately, you have the right to choose how to interpret the signals that your relationships give off. I'm not saying anything controversial here. This is basic common sense. But you'd be surprised as to how many people try to absolve themselves of the responsibility of actually making a decision. Instead, they think that since they have so many different ways of looking at a situation, then they'll be fine if they refuse to make a decision, just like the gray rabbit issue. Don't do this to yourself. Pursue the truth. Prize honesty. And you will eventually get to the right answer. But it takes courage. You have to make the first move. And if you try to fool yourself into thinking that there is really no emotional urgency to make a choice or to define situations, then you're going to continue to drift. At best, your relationships will never fully flourish and live up to their fullest potential. At worst, you're simply lying to each other because deep down inside, you're actually suffering from a sense of inadequacy and distrust. And I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking also about people in your life. Not good. Something has to go. Make the first move. I'm not talking about cutting people out of your life. I'm talking about simply being more honest when it comes to how you emotionally define or categorize people in your life. What does it mean to dream of a friendly rabbit? If you dream that a rabbit comes up to you and is friendly and cuddly, or in rare instances starts talking, you need to sit up and pay attention. When you see this type of dream, it indicates that your subconscious is picking up a sense of abundance. It's picking up opportunities for you to be inspired by other people to the point that you come up with really great ideas that can move your life forward. Maybe you would become a more valuable member of a team, or you can come across this multi-million-dollar idea that can lead to an amazing startup. There's just so many different possibilities, because that rabbit in your dream, which usually represents fertility, ideas, fertilizing other ideas, opportunities, opening other opportunities, is very friendly. In other words, it's coming to you instead of you pursuing it, instead of you being at its mercy. Use this opportunity. Take this opportunity, because you don't know when it will come again. Again, this takes courage because you can't be lazy about it. You can't hesitate. What does it mean to dream of killing a rabbit? As unpleasant as this type of dream imagery may be, if you find yourself obsessed with rabbits, sometimes the great breakthrough is when you kill the rabbit. Of course, this happens in your dream. Killing a rabbit in your dream can symbolize a desire to overcome personal weakness or break obsessions and spiritual addictions. One of the worst addictions you could ever suffer from involve thinking of the past or the future in such a way that they give you an emotional rush while failing to change your present reality. Does this ever happen to you? You're struggling at your minimum wage job, and from time to time you think of yourself as this successful startup multimillionaire. You daydream about how it would be like to have fancy cars, have tons of money in your bank account, and otherwise be free of the day-to-day grind and hustle that makes up your present reality. The more you daydream, the more you feel the emotions of actually living that lifestyle. This is very dangerous. It robs you of the sense of emotional urgency that you need right now to actually take action on your problems in the here and now. When you imagine yourself being somebody else or living somebody else's life, you get the emotional fentanyl rush of being somewhere else emotionally, while failing to give your current choices the attention they need to be successful. In this context, killing a rabbit can indicate you killing that flow of idea or emotional fertility so you can focus on the here and now. On the other hand, if you are being courageous and you are making hard calls in many areas of your life, and you see yourself killing a rabbit in your dreams, this can indicate that you're running out of ideas and you need to slow down and reconnect with your sense of intuition. That's a totally different context. Regardless, find which context applies to you and make the necessary decision. What does it mean to dream of a sick rabbit? This can be your subconscious communicating to you that while you imagine yourself as having a lot of opportunities and a lot of access to change your, to not only to sustain, but change your day-to-day routine, in reality, you're running out of options. Sit up and pay attention and wake up when you see this dream symbol. That sick rabbit in your arms can represent your subconscious warning you that things are not as rosy and as optimistic as it seems. You need to open your eyes and take realistic stock of the different areas of your life. There may be certain things that are going on that you can perceive on a subconscious level that can lead to disaster later on. Your subconscious is telling you, I have warned you. From this point on, if you drop the ball, it's on you. What does it mean to dream of a dead rabbit? Death makes for an ugly sight. Have you seen a dead rabbit on the side of the road? It's not pleasant. When a car hits a rabbit, chances are there's going to be blood all over the place, torn up fur, possibly even scraps of muscle and tendons and ligaments scattered in certain parts of the road. But that's not the worst part. The most disturbing part actually happens a few days after the death of that animal. This is when the rabbit becomes, the dead rabbit, looks cuddly again. Why? Because it's swollen up. It looks like a plushie or a stuffed toy on the road. But don't let appearances fool you, because the bacteria that started in the gut of the animal has started releasing all these gases, and it has bloated the animal. It's actually rotting to the point that it has very little meat inside. All it has is gas and bones. And soon enough, the bloated rabbit, dead rabbit, starts to deflate, and you see its true state: fur and bones and maggots. Why did I share this disturbing graphic with you? This is the natural cycle of dreams and life in general. We start out with all sorts of promise, but we fail to live up to our fullest potential. We soldier forward. We put one foot in front of the other. We know that we're really going in the wrong direction, and we're not really living up to our fullest potential, but we keep going. And then we are hit with one setback after another, and a little bit of us dies inside. And once we reach the end of our journey on this earth, we are a shadow of our former self. All that youth, all those dreams, all the possibilities, they've just evaporated, and they're replaced by cynicism, harsh memories, and a really depressing realization that we have lived a life of regret. So we get bloated with all these negative energy, negative emotions, negative impressions, and negative mindsets. Their subconscious is trying to show you, through the dream symbolism of a dead rabbit, the great cycle of your life. Doesn't mean that you're going to die soon. What it does mean is that if you do not want to go through this rather depressing cycle and process, you need to take action now. As long as you're still alive, there is still time on the clock, and you can make a change. You can claim your best life as long as you're willing to put in the work and move in a new direction. Of course, this means swallowing your pride. This also means overcoming the natural tendency to fear change, because we feel that we're going to be throwing good money after bad. That analysis or interpretation only applies if you insist on going in the same wrong direction. But if you are going to be pivoting, you don't have anything to worry about. You have everything to gain. At the very worst, you'll end up where you began. What does it mean to dream of 2 pet rabbits? When you dream about 2 pet rabbits, this can indicate that your affection is being split somehow. But usually this takes place in a rather mundane way. A lot of guys think that if they see 2 pet rabbits in their dream, that means that they're going to fall in love with 2 totally different women. Not necessarily true. This dream can indicate split loyalties between your relationship, your romantic partner, or between your romantic partner and your family, or your family life and your career. Do you see how this works? Basically, there's going to be some sort of conflict between 2 parts of your life that require your commitment, dedication, and focus. What this dream is just telling you is that you need to be more efficient and understand which comes first. Let me give you a hint. If you are married and you have children, family comes first. If you are single, your dreams of serving others come first. By keeping things simple, you preserve enough energy so there is more of you to share with others in your life later on. Remember, every second you're alive is an investment in life itself.